Talking financial organization and a professional practice does not have to be boring. Are you ready for a few money in, money out ideas? It's Susan Gunn coming directly to your head to make you think. Can you handle the truth? Because she is known for being energetic, laughs a lot, and gives honest, sometimes direct, but always practical advice. It's time now for Money In, Money Out.
Well, welcome back to part 2 of Money In, Money Out. Cybersecurity Home Edition is what we're going to talk about this time. We're picking up almost where we left off with my two wonderful colleagues, Janice Jansen, who is the co-owner of GTS Gurus, Debi Carr, who's the CEO of DK Carr and Associates. She is the guru of technology and security. And because of the potential cybersecurity threat that we may face that's increased because of what's going on in the Ukraine, we felt like this was a real necessary topic to bring, both from a work standpoint, but also a home security standpoint. And so that's why we have divided it up into 2 sessions so that we could give you as much information as possible. And boy, the home edition part of this, we have a ton of stuff. We just kind of went, okay, we need to talk about this. Oh yeah, that's a lot. So you're going to have another packed hour. Just make sure that you've got your pad of paper nearby you to take notes, because you're going to want to take notes. This is wide open for home, because I got to tell you, no home has any of the 4, unless they work from home, that we talked about in the first part.
And a lot of times, even when they work at home, they don't have these things.
Yeah.
So can we talk about that?
I have some.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do. In the first edition, we talked about having a firewall. See, I'm going to get this right now. We talked about having a firewall. We talked about having, number 2, an Active Directory for users.
Right.
Number 3, endpoint security. And number 4, having backups.
Right. So in home, yay!
I got all 4.
That's for business. But in home, we're not going to have probably endpoint, but we should have some sort of antivirus on our devices. And we're not going to necessarily have the Active Directory. You are going to have user accounts, but you're not going to have the Active Directory, because you're not going to have a server per se, unless you're in my house. You're not going to have a server per se. So Active Directory is only on a server, but you're going to have those accounts on your computer. So, don't be afraid to create those accounts. You don't necessarily want your kids to be able to get into your bank.
Well, I do have separate logins to the internet for guests, for when I have a guest here.
So that's on your Wi-Fi. I mean, that's on your Wi-Fi router.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So that's not your computer. So again, you want to have we have this wonderful little box that our IP, our internet provider, gives us. And I always tell, especially moms, we teach our kids, don't talk to strangers, right? But yet we allow the entire world to come into our house through this little box that we are provided by Comcast, Spectrum, whoever gives it to us. And they give us this long password so that we think we're secure, but the administrative credentials to that box are all over the internet. So we need to have that firewall, that perimeter. You can come to my door, but I'm going to decide who gets to come in. We don't leave our doors open. If you live where I live, we have, let's see here, we have
alligators.
We do have alligators, but not, but we have, so we have deadbolts. We have perimeter cameras. We have a sign that says alarm company, and we have an alarm company, and we have the Ring doorbell. And then anytime there's abnormal activity, the Ring doorbell alerts us to let us know that there's somebody out there. And then I can open the door and say, hey, UPS man or Amazon, because my husband thinks it's Christmas every day. leave it there. Or if it's a friend, I can say, come on in. I have that access control. So we want to have access control on our devices. And again, it starts with that firewall. We want to block out every home. Every home should have a firewall. Now, does it need to be commercial grade, like what you would put into an office, a business? No, but you can get them off of Amazon or Best Buy for $200. And again, anything that's not red, white, and blue and stars and stripes, block it. And then as you realize that you need access, then you can permit. Because now you've got to worry about everybody in your household. What are they accessing? And you want to be able to control. I had 2 boys and a girl. And my husband had it so locked down that my boys were not able to go out and look at things that they shouldn't be looking at. And if they did, he knew about it. So, and that's through that firewall. So every home should have that firewall so that we can, again, control who's coming in and who's going out.
I see some. One's called WatchGuard Firebox, and I see another one called Fortinet.
Fortinet, yeah. Look at Firewalla. We have a Firewalla in our house.
Firewalla. Yeah, I see that.
Now we actually have 2 firewalls, but my husband's overkill. So
I see. Well, with what we do, I'm sure that we gain a little bit of attention.
Well, and again, because of COVID in the last 2 years, a lot of people have gone home and are working at home. And my husband and I still have one child at home. They both work for Department of Defense, and so they have to be very particular about what happens in their information. So that firewall has allowed my husband to, so what he has done is he has created segments. So our smart TVs, our Alexa, and even our Ring doorbell is on one LAN, one VLAN, virtual local area network. So if you want to hack my TV, go for it. But then his work is on another, mine is on another, and my son's is on another. And so he's able to segment off, and he's able to, and he can monitor. He knows what we're doing. He can monitor and see what traffic's coming in and what traffic's going out. My son plays games. He can always tell when my son is playing a high intense game because our firewall is sending him alerts constantly.
Oh, that's interesting. Let's talk about gaming. Because we wanted to be sure to talk about that.
So with COVID, a lot of kids had a lot more time on their hands. And, online games are cool. They're fun. You build communities, but it is a venue for illicit activity. A lot of times 13-year-olds think that they are talking to another 13-year-old, and they're not. They're talking to we had an instance where some man drove from Colorado to pick up a girl here in Orlando, just north of Orlando in Daytona, because he was coming to take her away because her life was so miserable.
Wow.
Oh, so, parents need to be helicopter parents. They need to know who their kids are talking to. Have a rule, a policy in your house that your kids do not talk to anybody on the gaming unless the parent is there, and get involved with what's happening with your kids. Know what games they're playing.
Yeah. So I just looked up Firewalla, not to endorse them or anything, but they've got smart parental controls on theirs too.
Yeah.
So that you could set up parental controls, and it's monitored with a phone.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So my husband
got an app.
Yep. He gets all the alerts, and he'll go, oh yeah, Wesley's playing. So we know.
Well, and I think that's important, Debi, even, you saying that your son's older, he's not 13, and I think that, even not monitoring, because I have older kids too, my youngest that plays games is 20 at this point, but having that segmented off too, I think is just so important, because
it is. And here's the reality. It goes back to what we were saying earlier. There's a lot of sites out there that, people click on, and people, I can remember years ago, somebody was looking up Dolly Parton, and you would not believe the things that came up. So, having those things blocked, just because they're 20 and 25, that kind of gives them a little more freedom to go to things.
Right.
Right.
But that doesn't lessen the risk and the information that could be brought into the network by them doing that. So we just
Right.
block it off and we don't have that issue.
Yeah,
Those
that was my thought with that was, you still want to have that blocked, even though they're not young, you want to, the young ones you
Right.
really got to watch, but the older ones too, you have to block that off from your system because you don't know what's going to get hacked in there. So,
Right. And they're attached to your home network. So,
right.
and this myth that it only happens to companies, that's not what we're seeing. My father's been hacked. My mother was hacked. Wesley texted us the other day, said, "Oh, they got a text message that his Chase credit card had been compromised. Click here." He doesn't even have Chase. So,
yeah.
okay. But it's again, it's creating that panic,
Oh yeah.
creating that.
I get those all the time.
But people click on them, and
Oh,
people,
I know.
or you get it in your email that or sad to say, what we see a lot of times, and they actually have the AARP list, is that they'll call people and they'll say that this is Amazon, and we see that you've bought
Yeah.
a $700 iPhone, and it's out of your normal buying, so please call us. Well, it's a scam,
Yeah.
but people
Well,
respond.
and then there's
Right.
the text messages that you get that say, "We've received payment for your AT&T bill.
Right.
Thank you for paying early. We're going to give you a gift. Click here."
Right. Oh, yeah.
Don't click there.
Or the
I was getting
calls.
that several times. I was
Oh
like,
yeah.
Yeah.
okay, no, thank
Don't
you.
click. Or this is FedEx. We can't deliver a package.
Yeah.
Right.
And, especially during the holidays, we see a lot of that. So,
Yeah, Janice and I did a podcast on scams a couple
Mhm.
of months ago. I guess it was
Yeah,
in November, huh?
probably.
So,
good timing. Good
yeah.
Yeah.
timing. But
But that's how the whole gaming thing, to get back to that for a sec. The whole gaming is a way for cybersecurity to happen at the home. And so those are very targeted hacks.
And those attacks, sadly, are mainly done by sexual predators.
Right.
They are looking for, we think that cybersecurity only happens from people, overseas. And the reality is that it's just as vulnerable here as it is there. And so I encourage parents to be helicopter parents and to know who your kids are talking to when they're chatting online, and to know what games they're playing. Sometimes
Yes.
they're playing games that you may not really like them to play with or play on. And so and limit their time. They don't need to be on 6 hours a day. Go outside, enjoy the fresh air.
That doesn't really have anything to do with a cyber attack,
It
but
doesn't, but
but
it will
but
alleviate it because they're not
right.
online.
There you go.
So one of the things that we talk about a lot is in certified fraud examiners is the hackability of our phones, and whether you have an iPhone or a Galaxy phone, and what's encrypted and what's not encrypted, and how easy it is to hack into phones. Kind of the same mentality, right?
Right.
And so we talked about VPNs in the work environment. I have a VPN for my phone,
Yep.
but I have a Galaxy. And so what do you guys have? Because I know you have iPhones.
I have iPhones and I have a VPN on my phone. I have SafeSurf
So
or
you got that
SurfSafe.
too.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's on my phone because, we're out and about and you never
Yeah.
know when you have to. And a lot of my business I can do on my phone. I also have an iPad. So it's the same thing on my iPad. And if I have to connect to the internet, I use my phone hotspot. kind of thing. But, this mentality that, oh, I have an iPad or I have an iPhone, I'm safe, that is a myth. Mythbusters.
Yes.
Because
And a lot of people think that.
Oh,
they
that's
do.
why I brought it up, by the way.
Yes.
Well, they
yes.
do. They think that because I've got a Mac or I've got an iPhone, I'm safe. Well,
Right.
no, that just it's more profitable for them to go off who has the larger market share. But, it also is who's going to be able to pay. So those iPhones are not 100% safe. And so it goes back to that culture of security. And going back to working at home, a lot of us started working at home very unexpectedly. And we needed to get access to our offices. And there's this wonderful little application in our computers called Remote Desktop, where I can just go and I can log into anywhere that I need to and from anywhere, and I can get that my information and be on my desktop, and it's free. Guess what? That is an open door for hackers. We saw so many hacks that happen through what we call remote desktop.
Mhm.
So if you've got to access your work from home, there's some things you need to do. One, you need to use a secure tunnel. Either have your work with your IT partner to create one if you're going into the practice, or create one yourself by using products such as Splashtop
Or log me in.
or Log Me In. The bottom line is that if you're going to access your work from home, you should not just go in. The other thing to be mindful of is who's in your house. So if you're
Yes.
working on your computer and you have to get up for some reason, are there kids around? Are there visitors around that can accidentally see information that you may not want them to see? So, we go back to that access control. Just because you're not in a practice or in your office or in your business, you still need to be mindful of who's around your home.
Well, and that goes to say that your computer should not be the same computer that your kid is playing games on.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But again, if you have to, set up different accounts. Give your kid an account that you have the password for so that you can see what your kid is doing. But you want to have, because Windows allows you to have multiple accounts on your computer. So you want to have those accounts if you do have to use that. But the best protocol would not to you have your computer and your children have their
Theirs.
computers.
Yeah.
But we had one computer that was actually my computer, and the kids had separate accounts on there so we could monitor what they're doing and that kind of thing. But still be mindful of who's around and what is happening in the home.
So you had said that, yes, we would have the firewall. Absolutely. In fact,
Absolutely.
I'm probably going to buy Firewalla before we finish. But then the second thing is that we would not need an Active Directory because that only comes with Windows Server software.
Right.
And so, but we would need to get endpoint security. Is that correct?
Endpoint detection, EDR, is going to be too expensive for a home user, but you still should have a good antivirus. Windows Defender has come a long way, but I'm still not convinced.
Yeah. Me
So
either.
I have Bitdefender on my computer and on my iPhone.
Yeah, me too.
And I know that my husband, he is all Mac. Everything he has is all Mac, and he has a antivirus. I don't know what the name of it is off the top of my head, but he has antivirus on his. It goes back to those layers of security and a culture of security, even in your home. Because you know what? If you have that culture of security in your home, it's going to carry with you to work. And if you have it at work, it's going to carry over to your home. And it becomes a life cycle.
I just thought of something.
Light bulb.
Okay, a scary thought to both of you who know me. No, I have actually had clients that say, I Googled QuickBooks support. This was so frightening one day. I Googled QuickBooks support, And so I called the phone number that came up in my Google search, and they wanted control of my computer. This is a dentist office. They, yeah, I know, Debbie. They wanted control of my computer so they could log in and see what I was talking about. I was mortified. I told them to immediately go around to the back of the computer and unhook the internet and to run the virus protection software. And I did a little browsing through. But that lends to, though, how many times support happens and they want to get into your computer. I tell them no all the time.
My sister-in-law, we have this rule with my sister-in-law that you are not to, nobody is allowed access to your computer but your brother and I through Splashtop. Anyway, she calls us one night and she tells us that she had gotten a call from somebody about, I think it was supposedly Amazon, and they were helping her on that her computer had been infected, and that they were on her computer. Oh my gosh.
Windows.
Yes. And
Windows.
she gave them access to her computer. Well, we made her disconnect. I logged in and I was able to shut her down right away. And we had to take her computer and totally rebuild her computer and she lives 2.5 hours away. So she went without her computer for a month because in passing, it takes a little bit of time, and we were not in a hurry to mail it back either. But
hopefully your sister does not listen to this broadcast.
I think we'll be okay. That just reinforces the fact that it does happen in homes. My mom was a travel agent.
Yeah.
My mom knows travel. She knew she was going to Tarpon Springs. She knew she wanted to stay at a specific hotel. She Googled that hotel. She clicked on the first thing that came up, and she made the reservation. And it was just as she was hitting click, she realized that it was not. They were charging her $1,500 and it was non-refundable. Well, this is in the middle of COVID. My parents are in their 80s. We're like, oh, Mom, please don't come to Florida. And so she had to cancel, and it was non-refundable. And when I called them and said, it's COVID, you should, and they were like, we're sorry. She clicked, she agreed, it's non-refundable. And so Fortunately, I was able to, her bank was gracious enough to understand and refunded it, but banks are not that gracious anymore. So this was early in the thing that they've wised up. So the threat actors are after the individual as well as companies. And so, we hear all the time about, on the radio, all of the ads about LifeLock and what's the other one?
The Title Lock.
Title Lock. That's it.
Yeah.
So, what do you guys tell your clients
on to use the LifeLock in that? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah,
I tell them to lock it down on the credit bureau. Go to the credit bureau and lock their credit down. That way, they'll get an alert from them if they're
and it's free,
right?
And it's free.
Yeah.
So, really funny fun fact: Janice is the only one on this podcast that has not worked for a credit bureau. So.
And I don't intend to either.
You're not missing anything, It does look good in a resume to say I worked for.
There you go.
It does. That's I lock mine down. I got to tell you, in fact, let me tell you just with the story how easy that is. Mine is locked down all the time. And after the holidays, I needed a new couch. My old couch was really bad. And when I got COVID, I was sick and it broke in the out recliner motion. So I had to crawl out of my stuck recliner. It was really bad.
That's not easy when you have short legs.
No. Hey, who you call
I have short legs too. So
I think all three of us are short.
Yeah.
It's definitely not easy when you've had your knee replaced.
I bet.
Anyways, it was quite a sight, but I decided I needed to replace it. So we did a little shopping and found a really nice sofa. My sister would be so mad at me for saying couch. sofa.
So
We found a really nice sofa, and the gal said, and they offered are you ready for this? 60-month interest free. It's amazing.
I'm on
60
all
months.
over
I'm
it.
like, are you kidding me? So anyway, 60-month interest free. It was the dump. See, there's their
Yep.
3-minute media clip. The dump. It was great. It's a beautiful leather couch. Anyways, she said, I'm going to need your Social Security. So she put that in and she goes, oh, and I immediately at the same time she said, oh, it's not coming back. I said, hang on a minute. Which bureau do you know which bureau that they're getting into? And she said, Experian. I said, okay, hang on. So I got
Yep.
on my cell phone, went and unlocked my credit and then got out of the app. And I said, okay, now try it. She said, okay. So she went in, it went through. I was approved, and I got my phone back out again and went back and locked it.
Yep. That's exactly what you do.
It was unlocked for maybe 2 minutes. So that's how easy it is.
And
I'm just saying.
there's 3 bureaus. There's
Yep.
Equifax, there's Experian, and there's Equifax and TransUnion.
Yeah.
And they all will provide that service for free.
Yep. And you can do it online. It's so easy.
And another thing you can do is you can check with your local comptroller in your county if you own property and ask to be put
So this is
on-
really funny because Debbie brought this up during our time our break between recording sessions, and I'd never heard of it. Janice had never heard of it.
No.
We were like, what? and so I pulled it up, and it's our appraisal district that does it, our county clerk, but it's called a property fraud alert.
Each county is going to be a little different, but just if you spend a little moment researching it for your county.
The participants, this is what it says, will be notified when the exact name they've provided is listed as a grantor or a grantee on 90 different document types that are recorded in the county clerk's office. How cool is that?
And guess what?
It's free.
Yes.
I knew what she was going to say.
And I found out St. Charles does it too. So yay.
See? Yeah, I'll be signing up for that.
Yeah.
So that's personal. That protects your, not really cybersecurity, but it is because you can have your identity stolen.
And we have a lot of things going, a lot of people right now that need identity. And so we have seen an uptick of identity theft in the United States. We had a building that collapsed here, which was bad in itself. But one of the things that the survivors had to, and the families of those people had to deal with, was that their identity of their loved ones who died in that collapse were being taken and misused. And so the only people that are going to protect our identities are ourselves. And, you know, all of our identity is pretty much on the dark web. So these are steps that we can take, even though it's not cyber directly, it is impacted because of cyber.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. In fact, when both of my parents passed away, I did notify the Bureau of their Social Security number so that their credit would be shut down.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So that's definitely something that should be done to help protect yourself.
Mm-hmm. And then backups. When was the last time you backed up your home computers?
Probably about 2 minutes ago.
Okay, well, you're an exception to the rule.
I back mine up too, but I know not many people do, because a lot of my friends are like, "Oh, my pictures are all, I lost all my pictures or whatever, so."
Right.
Yeah.
So backing up is really important, and it doesn't, you can get carbonite at home as easy as you can, for your business. And
yeah.
If those pictures mean a lot to you, then put them on an external drive. It's redundancy. It's multiple versions. Have them in different places.
Yeah, but let me let me tell you about the external hard drives being your only source of backup. And this comes from a personal family lesson that my nephew and his family were gone one evening and were broken into, and their external hard drives plus the computers were all stolen. And that was all the pictures that they had of the kids growing up. And so I really like my cloud backup for that. Not only that, we had a colleague that was in New Orleans when the hurricane hit, Katrina, and they walked away with only their laptop.
Did she
And
even?
it was a he, and he had backed up to Carbonite.
It's the one in
And
Houston that I was thinking of, that she walked away with just her dog and what was on her. Sorry.
no, he got his computer and had everything backed up in Carbonite, but they only thought they were going to be gone for a few days. But he needed to relocate to Florida where his mom was living at the time. And he went and bought the software, reloaded software that he needed that he didn't have on his laptop. I mean, he didn't have on his laptop, but he had, and downloaded all the information from Carbonite, and he was good to go. I had a hard drive crash, and I was able to restore from Carbonite so easily. You're right, Debbie. It does take, I think it took 2.5 days to reload all the data that I had, but I had it. That was kind of the really
so
great point.
You have it in multiple places. You have it in multiple. So you have the cloud backup that, if the house catches on fire, I'm good. But if I have a hardware, if something happens, my biggest fear is, I know this is silly, but my biggest fear as a speaker is that I'm going to get up there and my hard drive is going to crash. So I always make sure that I put my presentation on a flash drive, because if that happens, I can borrow.
Yeah, I've actually had that happen, by the way. That's why I was laughing, going, "Oh yeah." That happened in Ohio. Somebody had to actually run out and get a QuickBooks. I was teaching QuickBooks. Somebody had to actually go out and get a copy of QuickBooks.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
So that's always a fear. But when you have that backup and you have that redundancy, you have the security in place. And so
yeah. Well, it's all about protecting what is personal and work. We've got to kind of kick our heads up to not be oblivious, to think that there aren't people out there that look to us to gain something for themselves. My parents, I live in a house that my dad built, and they didn't used to lock their doors.
Right.
You were giving that example before in the work podcast, but they didn't lock their doors. Well, now I'm like Fort Knox. I've got that security system, and I have the ring, and I have a gate, an electric gate. I haven't electrified it. I would like to zap somebody if they try to get in. But
there's some legalities about that.
That's what I could do, because Janice and Denise come and surprise me all the time and scare the crud out of me. I'm just going to electrify the gate, Janice.
Hey now, that's not nice.
I was just making.
I know nothing.
You'd have to electrify the front door, because
I would
be banging on it.
No, the window. That's what you bang on.
Yeah.
Well, the ring should let you know that they're there.
Well, they park in the driveway and they try to be really nice and quiet.
So then we sneak up to her window.
To my office window. Usually I'm really intense, unless Khaki gives it away. So, anyways, that's my dog, by the way. It's Khaki.
Okay.
That's my additional security alarm.
Right.
And there is something to that.
There is.
So
there is actually, if you don't want an animal in your house, listen to this. If you don't want an animal in your house, there is the motion sensor devices that you can get to put close to your front door, that if anybody walks past your front door, it starts barking. It sounds
Oh.
like there's a big dog.
Oh, I need one of those then, because we lost our dog a couple of years ago and have not replaced her yet. Nor
Well,
do
I
I
have
think.
a
I keep
friend that's a flight attendant, and that's what she did.
My husband wants goats.
Yeah, I don't know how they are on security.
They're not
but
very good on security, but that's
yeah, I was
okay.
gonna say.
But they eat the
Okay.
grass.
Well,
I try to
there
keep
you go.
mine from barking. Why do I want a machine that's going to bark? It's annoying.
Well, that's because we're working.
Right.
Let's talk about Windows 10 for a little bit, or 11, Windows 11. What number are we on?
We are on 10, and you should start seeing a lot of times when I go to turn off my computer or turn on my computer, especially when it's done an update. And a lot of those updates are very important. So when it says, do you want to update your computer? That is your computer patching. So you should always do those updates. But Windows is gracious enough to, when it does an update now, I'll get a sign that says, do you want to update to Windows 11? And I don't want to quite yet, but come October of 2025, Windows 10 will no longer be supported. So we'll have to go to Windows 11. But Windows 11 has hardware requirements that a lot of home computers right now are not ready to have in them. And so, and updating, my understanding is when you update and you don't have that, it will force you to go back to Windows 10 right now, but it gives you the warning that you need to have what is called a TPM, or a trusted platform module, in your computer, which allows you to encrypt your computer at the end point, which is great both personally and in business, because that way if a threat actor gets in, they're not able to really get anything. All the data that they take is going to be unreadable. So it's just another layer. But if you're going to buy a computer between now and October of 2025, ask, does it have a TPM or a trusted module platform chip?
Yeah, and the other thing I wanted to say about the Windows 11, in case you have a Windows Surface computer, it is getting rid of the tablet mode. And so you will no longer have tablet mode. It will be more like a laptop, because
computer.
you'll be forced to be that environment. So not from a security standpoint. But that TPM chip sounds really intriguing because it's encrypting. You know, and so we were talking about it earlier. Janice and I were both like, okay, we need to get one of those.
Yeah,
Yes,
it sits usually on your motherboard. It's usually a module, a chip that sits on your motherboard. And so it holds a key to the encryption inside your motherboard. So if you take the hard drive out of your computer and you try to put it in another computer, it won't work because the key is on that motherboard.
Interesting.
Oh, so I have an encrypted thumb drive that works the same way.
Yes.
It has to be in this computer.
Yes.
Interesting.
Okay. That is interesting. So from a home standpoint, other than the firewall
and antivirus,
what is the priority in making sure that the homeowners have in place?
Firewall and antivirus, and then rules and policy. You know, in business we call them policies, and at home we call them rules. You know, and then repercussions for those rules. But know what your kids are doing. Know what your husband's doing, because it's all about the access. And a lot of times we're not watching where we're going, and the only ones that are going to protect our information is us. Watch what you're posting on social media, because you know we're posting our whole entire lives on social media. It's like I've got friends that can't go to the bathroom without posting.
Oh my Lord, yes, no kidding.
Like, give me a break.
Yeah, I hate those stupid Facebook questions things.
Oh, those,
you know, those are just looking for your passwords.
Yes, because what are the questions that when you're filling out, what are the questions? So there's a whole science in cybersecurity called social engineering.
Yes.
And this is where they don't necessarily have access to direct in, but they're looking for something that's going to give you knowledge, that they can send you an email that's going to get your attention, that you're going to click on. And how they get that information is by trolling your social media.
Yes. Yep.
And,
Well, and that's-
Google yourself. You want to know what's happening in your life? You want to know about your neighbors? Google yourself. It's scary.
So I say that all the time when people are thinking about new hires. I always say, Google them and see what comes up.
Google yourself.
Yeah.
There's sites out there, there's Spokio and My Life, that I know more about my neighbor that I've lived next to for 20 years through My Life than I knew in 20 years of talking to her. So, and some of it I really didn't want to know either. So, yeah, it just comes up. So, but Google yourself. It's very, very interesting what you find out.
Well, and I've been telling people, those quizzes are so fun on Facebook. My thing is I'll pull it up and read it from somebody else's and just ask my kids the questions.
Sure.
Or ask my husband the questions. We were going through which child is the easiest going, which child, they are fun. They're entertaining, but don't put it out on the web. Yeah.
I print them off so that I can use them when I'm speaking.
There you go. Yeah.
Because they are fun, but they are also the security questions that are asked to get into your bank, to get into Amazon, to get into
QuickBooks.
Yeah. So, where's your favorite vacation place? They're not going to, so, heck, I went to I just got clear. Yay, I can fly. And when I got there, they asked me questions about which one of these is your daughter's current address. Now, how do you think they got that information?
Right. Yeah.
So things that are meant for good can be used for bad.
Right.
So, if you're going to go on vacation, I know you're excited to go on vacation. Go have a wonderful time. Take lots of pictures and post it when you get back. Don't post it ahead of time.
Yes. And don't post it while you're gone either.
No, exactly.
Right.
Let those pictures build up.
This may not be cybersecurity, but it is security.
And that's what it is we've got to develop a culture of security, because that's how it's going, a mindset, because that's how it's going to expand out. So
I suggest that if you're a parent and you're listening to this, and even if you're a kid and you're listening to this, that maybe if you have family dinners, that you make this a topic of discussion, so that you can figure out, because anytime you discuss something, it kind of kicks that to the next level. And so maybe you talk about the things that are going on in the Ukraine, and talk about what cybersecurity you need to do different in your house, or what would you do if we were invaded? I mean, that's kind of a weird thought to think about, but what would we do?
Hopefully we don't have to find out, but we need to have a plan.
That's right.
Yeah, we do. It all does start with a plan. Well, girls, I'm going to end this one a little bit sooner than the last one that was like totally long. Do you have any final words that you want to share with our audience about home security for cyber prevention, cyber attacks?
Don't let the whole world into your house. Know who's coming in. Firewall.
That's really good. Janice?
And don't put your info on social media.
Yep, it is a big one. Well, thank you both, Debi, Janice. So awesome. This was great. I mean, this time went by so easy and so quick, and we dispelled so many things and gave out so much information. I really appreciate it, and I know that our listeners will too. I cannot, again, kind of getting back to what's happening in the Ukraine, I cannot even imagine the heartache that they're going to, as their whole infrastructure has been dismantled, essentially.
Yeah.
And so you guys all, if you're listening, keep everyone in your prayers. If there's something you can do, if you donate to a charity, be sure you check it out to make sure it's a viable charity. Since we're talking about security, let's
go
throw that
directly
out there.
to the charity. Don't
Yes.
click on a link inside of an email, because they're going to send out emails to you at your home,
That's right.
encouraging, wanting you to click. So if you want to give, do it through the news media or advertising ones that are really working on going to Ukraine and supporting Ukraine, and don't follow the emails.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, you guys, you take care. It was great to be back on the air again, so to speak. And until next time, stay safe and lead with integrity.
That's a wrap for this podcast of Money In, Money Out. Thanks for listening. Be sure to write down the most valuable tip you learned today so you don't forget it. And remember, you can find out more about all the valuable books and services Susan has to offer at www.susangunsolutions.com.